I'm not proud to admit it, but there was a moment when I honestly wondered if I was losing my mind. Not because something strange was happening, no. The strange part came later. It was because the people who were supposed to know me best suddenly didn't. Or maybe they didn't want to. It all started with one accusation, one tiny thing. And trust me, I wish I could tell you it stopped there. But small cracks have a way of turning into earthquakes when the right person decides to push hard enough. So, let me take you back to the day I realized my own sister might not actually see me as family anymore, but as something closer to an obstacle. Or, even worse, a threat. The first time it happened, I didn't even take it seriously. My sister, Mia, called me in this sharp voice, the kind she used when she pretended she wasn't mad, but you could hear the storm behind every word. She said she couldn't find her ring. A tiny gold ring with a red stone, something our grandma gave her, and she was sure she left it on her dresser that morning. And of course, she also just happened to remember I'd stopped by earlier to drop off documents for our mom. And just like that, the math she did in her head added up to me. I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because I genuinely thought she was joking. I mean, I'm not exactly the steal a ring and pawn it for $40 type. If anything, I'm the guy who finds money on the floor and spends the next 10 minutes looking for its owner. But she wasn't laughing. She wasn't even smiling. And I could see in her eyes that she wasn't accusing me. Playfully, she was testing me, waiting for me to slip, waiting for something that didn't exist. It blew over after a day. She found the ring in her purse and sent me a half-hearted, "my bad" text. No apology, just a shrug in digital form. And I let it go because that's what you do when the people you love do something weird. You smooth it out. You pretend it's fine. But that was just the start. A few days later, she said she was missing cash, just $40 from a drawer in her home office. And again, the timing was coincidentally perfect. I'd been there that afternoon helping her move a shelf. Then some documents from her work went missing. Then headphones. Then a charger. Then a little box with receipts. And each time she found a way to tie the missing item to me. But here's where it got scary. My parents started asking me questions. Not in a "we're concerned about you" way. More like, "Is there something you want to tell us?" You know, the kind of vibe people use during interventions or when they suspect you've got some double life you're hiding. And every time they asked, I could feel this pressure building, like I was walking deeper into a room with shrinking walls. I kept explaining. I kept trying to reason. I kept trying to not freak out. But the thing about family is, when enough people say something over and over, even the people who know you best start wondering if maybe they've missed something. Maybe they don't know you as well as they think. And I could see it happening right in front of me. The way my mom's eyebrows tensed whenever my name came up. The way my dad kept saying, "We just want to understand," end quote. The way Mia talked louder, faster, more confidently each time she pointed a finger at me. And I didn't realize it then, but she was laying down a trail. A long, careful, wicked trail. And everyone was following it, everyone but me. The breaking point came one Saturday afternoon. My parents invited me over. Well, invited isn't the right word. It was more like, "We need to talk." That's never a sentence you want to walk into. I got there and found all three of them sitting in the living room like some kind of family tribunal. No snacks, no tea, not even a fake smile. Just four tight faces, and the kind of silence that squeezes your lungs. My mom was the first to speak. She said Mia was missing more money, a couple hundred this time. My dad said they'd tried to give me the benefit of the doubt, but patterns were starting to appear. And Mia, God, the look on her face, she played it perfectly. She looked upset but calm, emotional but not dramatic. Exactly the kind of performance that makes you look believable. Then she said something that flipped the whole room upside down. She said, "I didn't want to tell you guys this, but I found something in his backpack." And she pulled it out, a white envelope with her handwriting on it. Inside it, cash. And the receipts box she claimed went missing a week earlier. My heart dropped so hard I swear the sofa shook, because I knew, without question, without even needing to check that I'd never seen that envelope in my life. But there it was, in her hand, and she said she found it in my backpack. That moment was the closest I've ever been to being speechless. My brain couldn't compute what I was seeing. I said the only thing I could possibly say. That's not mine. I didn't take that. But it didn't matter. The room had made up its mind. My parents weren't yelling. Honestly, yelling would have been easier. Yelling is emotional, messy, fixable, but they were calm, too calm. The kind of calm people use when they think the truth is obvious and they're just waiting for you to catch up. That's when I realized something was wrong. Not just wrong off, artificial, scripted. Because if all this was true, if I'd really done what they thought, why was Mia so collected, so precise, so perfectly timed with every piece of evidence? People who are telling the truth don't rehearse it. People who are lying do. And suddenly it started feeling less like a misunderstanding and more like a setup. But here's the part that will make your stomach drop. The reason she was doing all this? That didn't come out until weeks later. But when it did, everything clicked. See, our grandmother left behind a house, a small one, old, but sitting on land that had been gaining value every year. And she left it to my grandchildren equally, meaning me and Mia. 50-50. But here's the thing about inheritance laws. They get weird when one of the inheritors is unfit. And financial dishonesty, theft, unstable behavior, yeah. Turns out that's enough to make someone lose their cut. And guess who would get 100% if I lost mine? Exactly. Suddenly every missing item, every accusation, every perfectly timed moment made sense. She wasn't careless. She wasn't confused. She wasn't panicking. She was building a case. And everyone around her was buying it. So I had two options. Let her bury me, or start digging for the truth. Spoiler, I dug. And the thing about digging is, you always find something if you go deep enough. The first crack appeared when I checked security footage from my parents' garage. The camera wasn't meant for theft, it was meant to catch raccoons. But it caught something else. Mia, at my parents' house, alone, on a day she claimed she hadn't been there in weeks. And she wasn't just passing through. She was carrying something, a small white envelope, the same kind that magically appeared in my backpack. When I showed my parents, they froze. Not because they were shocked at the footage, but because they were shocked at themselves, at how easy it had been to believe her. But that wasn't enough. I needed the whole truth, not just suspicion, proof. So I went deeper, and I found out she'd been telling neighbors about my strange behavior for months. She told her coworkers she was worried about me. She even told one of her friends she was documenting everything just in case. Documenting. What kind of person documents their sibling unless they're building a case against them? By the time I pieced everything together, I felt like I was starring in a crime show I didn't audition for. The confrontation was intense. Not the dramatic screaming match you'd expect. No, she denied everything at first. Then she got angry, accused me of manipulating the narrative, called me paranoid, said I was twisting things. But then my dad showed her the footage. She cracked, not with tears, not with guilt, with frustration, like we'd ruined her plan. She admitted she wanted the house. She said she deserved it more because she'd always been the responsible one. She said I'd waste it, or sell it too fast, or not appreciate what Grandma wanted. And then she said something that still stings every time I remember it. You were easy to use. Everyone already thinks you're too trusting. Too trusting. I didn't know what hurt more, the betrayal, or the fact that she was right. The aftermath wasn't clean. Families don't snap back like rubber bands. Sometimes they stay stretched, damaged, reshaped. My parents apologized. A lot. And I could tell they meant it, but it didn't erase the fact that they'd believed her so quickly. Trust is like paper. Once it's crumpled, it's never the same. As for Mia, we don't talk, not out of anger, just because something broke that can't be put back together. She didn't get the house, obviously. If anything, she got the opposite distance, consequences. The cold realization that people see her differently now. Me? I'm not the same either. I'm more cautious, more aware that sometimes the people who stand closest to you are the ones who can stab the deepest because they know exactly where to aim. You don't expect betrayal to come with a familiar face. You don't expect it to sound like someone laughing at the same jokes you grew up with, or making breakfast in the same kitchen you shared as kids. And you definitely don't expect it to come from the one person who swore she'd always have your back. But life doesn't always follow the script you think it will. Sometimes it flips the whole thing upside down and asks, "So, what are you going to do now?" I'll tell you what I did. I rebuilt. Slowly. Day by day. And now I'm telling this story so maybe someone out there who feels like their world is turning against them knows they're not crazy. Sometimes the people who accuse you the loudest are the ones trying the hardest to hide something. And if you're in a situation like that, trust yourself, even when nobody else does. Especially then.